May 1945. Germany was gone. It was no longer a state. It was a geographic area occupied by 4 foreign armies: the United States, Great Britain, France, and the Soviet Union. This was Stunde Null, hour zero. The physical destruction was absolute. Berlin, Munich, Frankfurt, and Hamburg were mountains of millions of cubic meters of rubble. Bridges were shattered, railways were obliterated, factories were stripped of machinery, and millions of people were homeless, starving, and wandering the landscape. Millions of German soldiers were in prison camps. Millions more were dead or missing. Over 12 million German civilians were violently expelled from Eastern Europe, from Silesia, Pomerania, and East Prussia, fleeing westward with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Amidst the ruins, teams of women known as the Trümmerfrauen, rubble women, spent years clearing the debris by hand, sorting bricks to rebuild their cities. As the horrific images of the liberated concentration camps were broadcast to the world, and as the Nuremberg trials exposed the systematic atrocities of the Nazi regime, the German people had to confront an existential realization. They were not only physically ruined, they were morally bankrupt. Their culture, their history, their pride, everything had been weaponized to create an engine of absolute evil. As the smoke cleared, the fragile wartime alliance between the Western democracies and the Soviet Union dissolved into the Cold War. Germany became ground zero for this new global struggle. In 1948, the Soviets attempted to starve the western sectors of Berlin by cutting off all land access. The United States and Britain responded with the Berlin airlift, flying in millions of tons of food and coal for 11 months until the Soviets lifted the blockade. In 1949, the country was formally split into 2 separate states. In the West, the United States, Britain, and France merged their occupation zones to create the Federal Republic of Germany, BRD, a capitalist parliamentary democracy with its capital in Bonn. In the East, the Soviet Union established the German Democratic Republic, DDR, a communist totalitarian satellite state ruled by the Socialist Unity Party, SED, under the watchful eye of Moscow. The city of Berlin, sitting deep inside the communist East, was also split in half. For 12 years, West Berlin remained an island of freedom behind the Iron Curtain. Between 1949 and 1961, over 2.5 million East Germans, desperate to escape economic stagnation and the oppressive surveillance of the East German secret police, the Stasi, fled into West Berlin. To stop this catastrophic brain drain, the East German regime acted in the dead of night. On August 13, 1961, barbed wire was strung across the center of Berlin. Over the coming years, it evolved into the Berlin Wall, a concrete monstrosity over 100 kilometers long, fortified with landmines, attack dogs, watchtowers, and automatic firing systems. East German border guards were given strict orders to shoot anyone attempting to cross. Over 140 people were killed trying to escape past the wall, which became one of the most powerful and painful symbols of the Cold War. Yet out of this profound tragedy emerged 2 distinct miracles. In the West, there was the Wirtschaftswunder, the economic miracle. Under the leadership of economics minister Ludwig Erhard, and aided by the American financial injections of the Marshall Plan, West Germany embraced a social market economy, Sozialmarktwirtschaft. They combined free market capitalism with a powerful social safety net. The results were astonishing. Within a decade, the ruins vanished. Clean, modern cities rose from the ash. German factories began pumping out precision machinery, high-end electronics, and automobiles under brands like Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz. To meet labor shortages, Germany signed guest worker, Gastarbeiter agreements, bringing millions of workers from Italy, Greece, and especially Turkey, changing the cultural fabric of the nation. By the late 1950s, West Germany possessed the strongest economy in Europe, less than 15 years after total annihilation. But there was a second, far more important miracle, the moral rehabilitation of the nation. Beginning in the late 1960s, a new generation of Germans came of age. They began asking their parents uncomfortable, agonizing questions about what they did during the war. West Germany did something unique in global history. Instead of burying its historic crimes, it forced itself to remember them. They developed a concept known as Vergangenheitsbewältigung, the process of coming to terms with the past. They built monuments to their victims in the center of their capital. They made Holocaust denial illegal. They paid billions in reparations to survivors and the State of Israel. In 1970, Chancellor Willy Brandt pursued Ostpolitik, a policy of normalizing relations with Eastern Europe. During a visit to the Warsaw Ghetto Monument in Poland, the leader of Germany spontaneously dropped to his knees on the cold, wet stone before the memorial to the Jewish victims of the Nazi regime. That quiet gesture, the Kniefall von Warschau, spoke louder than 1,000 speeches. Germany was showing the world that it had truly changed. By the late 1980s, the communist bloc was fracturing under economic rot and the liberalizing reforms of Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev. In East Germany, hundreds of thousands of ordinary citizens found their courage, taking to the streets in peaceful mass demonstrations, chanting a simple, powerful slogan, "Wir sind das Volk." We are the people. On the evening of November 9, 1989, an East German official named Günther Schabowski blundered during a live televised press conference, stating that travel restrictions to the West would be lifted immediately, effective, as far as he knew, aviso, without delay. Within minutes, tens of thousands of East Berliners surged toward the border checkpoints along the wall. The guards, confused, overwhelmed, and lacking orders from a paralyzed leadership, chose not to open fire and opened the gates. Thousands of people poured through, met by ecstatic crowds of West Berliners. People wept, hugged, danced on top of the concrete wall, and hacked away at the stone with hammers and chisels. The wall had fallen without a single shot being fired. On October 3, 1990, less than a year later, Germany was officially reunited, a process engineered by Chancellor Helmut Kohl. The long division was over. If you enjoyed this documentary, please support the channel by liking, sharing, and commenting below. And if you love in-depth history content, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more documentaries like this. Now, let's conclude the story of Germany. Modern Germany faced enormous structural challenges after reunification. The former East struggled economically. Thousands of state-owned factories closed, leading to high unemployment and mass migration to the West. Infrastructure needed massive rebuilding, funded by a dedicated solidarity tax. Social and psychological differences between those raised under communism and capitalism, the so-called wall in the mind, remained. Gradually, Germany integrated the two regions. Today, Germany stands as the undisputed leader and economic engine of the European Union. It is an economic titan, a global hub of technology, sustainable energy transition, energy vendor, and industrial manufacturing. But it remains a nation defined by a deep, inherent paradox. It is a global power that remains profoundly uncomfortable with military force, often pursuing a foreign policy of restraint. It is a country whose modern identity is explicitly constructed not on myths of ancient glory, but on the painful, honest remembrance of its darkest sins. They wear their scars openly, not out of self-loathing, but as a protective shield against the return of the monsters that once consumed them. From the dark, misty forests of Arminius, through the catastrophic fires of the 30 Years' War, from the iron and blood of Bismarck to the horrific abyss of the Third Reich, and from the complete destruction of Hour Zero to the triumphant rebirth of a peaceful democracy, Germany has been torn down, rebuilt, redefined, and resurrected. The center of Europe holds. It is no longer a vacuum waiting to be plundered, nor is it an aggressive empire seeking to conquer. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a nation that proved that borders can change, empires can fall, and cities can burn to ash, but a people can always choose to step out of the dark and rebuild. Whatever happens next in Germany will write the future of the world. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And here's a question for you: what topic should we explore next? Tell me in the comments below, and the most requested subject could be featured in an upcoming documentary.